Okay, so we're just randomly walking around and, oh, gee, look, here's somebody who's on YouTube. Look at, oh, and they just opened their channel and it says recommended. Wow, you must have subscribed to the Dr. Neato channel. Is that what you did?
I did subscribe to
All
the Dr.
right,
Neato channel.
good. So you got notified that there was a new episode. Yeah?
I did not receive an email notification, nor did it come up on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, it did. It's right here.
Oh. No, this is recommendation. This isn't a notification. I would expect to find notifications here, of which I don't have any. However, I would assume that if I went to my subscriptions, then I would see the episode 2 of Dr. Neato's vlog.
All right. So I was wrong, and Rita was right. And actually, Andres was ahead of all of us. He had a comment on one of the posts, but I had confusion about notifications and recommendations and subscriptions, and yeah. So teach the teacher. We're going to try to fix that. Okay, so we're going to give a little more coaching on how to subscribe. Thanks to Andres. He made a comment that we actually realized we need. So I'm here in my man cave with my daughter, and we're actually freezing. Like, this part of our house doesn't have any heat, and so we have this space heater that we sort of huddle around like a campfire, and we're still cold, but who cares? Okay, so here's the Andres detail. If you look at the subscribe button, right there below, like you can see Rita's already subscribed, but next to it there's a little bell. Click that, and then in there you can choose different notifications, and if you're okay with it, press the all button. And then if you do that, you will get notified in different ways. And if it's too much, if it bothers you too much, you can adjust it for what's right for you. But that'll make sure, at least at the beginning, that you find out when I send out new posts. Okay, so we are going to start Unity for Buffet, and this final part of the course is instead of being a language, like we've learned already 3 times over, this is a game engine, which is a little bit different, and I will talk more about that. But this segment of the episode is to help you install Unity wherever you are, which is a little bit of a chore. So you need to have, obviously, a laptop or a desktop. And I talked earlier about this. If you don't have one, get in touch with me, send me an email, and I will help you. But here we go. So first thing you need to do is get on Chrome, and we're going to Google Unity download. And when we do that, we'll notice that there is a link that says Unity Download Archive. And surprise, surprise, we're going to download an old version of this. And this is just so that we are consistent with the classroom laptops in the event that we get to go back someday. So the version we have in the classroom is from 2017, surprise, surprise. So click on that link and then scroll down. The exact version is 2017.3.0. And don't forget that if I go too fast here, unlike the classroom, you have the benefit of hitting the pause button, and then you can catch up. So here it is, Unity 2017.3.0. That's the version we want. So we're going to go over to downloads. This is for Windows, this is for a Mac. And we're going to pull down this menu here, and we're going to click Unity Installer. So go ahead and do that. And when we do that, you will see over in the corner a file called Unity Download Assist.exe. So I'm going to take that file and drag that onto my desktop. There we go. And I am going to double click this. So this is the application that installs Unity. Okay, I cut out a chunk of the video there so you didn't have to wait for this. So you're going to see this window and you're going to say next. And we have to say sign our life away. Yes. Next. Now in this segment, make sure that it says mono develop. That's the editor, or that's the one that's easiest to teach to. So definitely have that one checked. And have those 4 checked. And I think those are the musts. So we're going to say next. And this is a good choice. Next. Okay, so we're still installing. Still installing. Still installing. Still downloading. Yay, it's done. I'm videotaping. Okay, so after you have installed, I believe you're going to see a screen that looks like this. And or you might see a screen that looks like this. And I believe that you can enter without giving them your email if you're uncomfortable with that. If you want to get information from Unity, they do have a lot of resources. So you put your email here and make an account. But if you don't like that, you can press skip here and you get to a window that looks like this. Now, we don't need these things, and you can get them if you want, but we're at the point now we're going to make our first project. So we're going to click New, and this is the window that you get. And so the project name, we'll just call it First. And I'm going to put it on the desktop. So there is the desktop. And you can search for that. Actually, let's do it this way. We're going to go click on those 3 dots there. And then that will allow you to pick where you want it. And I'm just going to say desktop. Okay. Yay. And here it gives you the choice between 2D and 3D, and we're going to do 2D. Everything I teach you is going to be 2D. And then you're all set to create project. Now this process takes a while, and it's because it's doing a whole bunch of stuff. And just be patient, number one. But appreciate that we're only going to make a few projects. And then within each project, we will have a bunch of different assignments. So when the screen looks like this, you're done making your project. This is the Unity working window. In C++, this is similar to having the IDE where we were able to write our code, compile it, run it, see our errors all in one window. And there's a lot of things happening here. So I will walk you through that. Those will be in future lessons. The thing to realize, so I'm going to minimize this. And then I'm going to look on my desktop and hopefully find a folder called first. And there it is. Move it over to your field of view. So there's our project. That's our first Unity project because we wrote first in the title. Now, if we go inside of here, you'll see there's a bunch of subfolders. And it's really important, I'll say this a bunch of times, but it's really important to not rename your folders after you've let Unity make your folder. So this is the project first. If I came in here and renamed it second, it's like cutting your arm off and then setting it over on the table and then have your head say to you, okay, now I want to itch my head, but you can't because it's not connected to you anymore. So changing the name destroys the connectivity of each project. Similarly, if you go inside of down here and grab one of these folders, one of these subfolders, and move them over to another project, same deal. So leave a project, do all the naming through Unity. Don't make it and then go in and change things. And some of you will test that, and it will be very frustrating. Okay, so that's the installation and making of a first project in Unity. Okay, so we're going to have our first episode where there's a dedicated portion of the episode for buffet and another segment that is dedicated to AP. And what I'd like to do is have in the buffets first, and then right at the end of buffet, I'm going to write on the screen time count somewhere. Oh boy, everything's backwards. Somewhere like over there, I think. There'll be a number on the screen, and that'll tell buffet where to fast forward to. Just drag the little thing while the video is playing up to that timestamp, and that'll skip you over the AP portion of the episode, and it will bring you to the end. And so there'll be some comments at the end that I want you to listen to. Okay, and then AP, I should have put a timestamp in the message at the beginning, the words on the episode that'll tell you where your section starts so that you can skip over the buffet portion of this. We'll work this out. So this section is to the AP crowd. I'm going to talk about the AP test. There's a big if statement. So if you originally signed up to take the test and you no longer want to do it, the College Board will let you back out of it and they will give you a full refund. And that's great, I think. So I'm really happy the College Board is doing that. If you want to do that, let me know. There's a couple administrative steps we have to go through, and I will help you do that. If you want to take the test as you originally planned, you're going to be taking it at your house. It's going to be shortened, 45 minutes it looks like. It looks like it's going to be free response only. And also the coverage is on not the whole curriculum for the class. And Henry asked a question in here. First period, Henry. Thank you, Henry. So I sent through Edmodo a spreadsheet that shows the topics highlighted in yellow that are covered. So you should look at that. And they're basically things we've already covered, and I think we've covered them well. So, but look at that, and that should help guide, if you want to brush up on stuff, what you cover. So the other thing is there's going to be 2 test dates, and we'll know more next week about when they are. And I'm not sure why they're doing that, but it might be because different areas of the country are affected at different at different levels of from our situation, and maybe they want to just give a little freedom for people. If they want to take the test now or earlier, then yay, go. Or if you want more time to review, then a little bit later. But next week I'll have more information on that. So AP Crowd, I've decided that I'm going to keep teaching you the course curriculum as I originally planned throughout the whole year, even though we're in this remote learning mode. And the reason is the remaining topics, namely two-dimensional arrays, are a more complex arrangement of something that you've already learned, the basic building blocks. And if you can master the more complicated application, I think it will be a really strong way to review. So that's our plan. And I also think the practice, I was going to give you each day a warm-up activity, and I'd like to continue to do that. So I'm going to, if I can figure out how to shut this off. So here's today's, and it's on recursion. I also encourage you to connect with your fellow classmates. So if you did work together when we were in class, I think it would be great if you could reach out and connect Discord or Zoom or whatever. I use WebEx with your fellow students. And if you guys I saw lots of people with talking about these warm-up problems, and then I think that's a great thing to do. So I encourage you to do that. And then we're going to start, there's a couple clips following this now that are going to start diving into two-dimensional arrays. We're going to start the last area of the AP curriculum, which is two-dimensional arrays. And this topic, I think, is a really nice way to end up the course because it reviews sort of all topics that we've covered. And it also is using photos. It's very good for the visual learners. And so it ties a lot of things together in a nice way. In order to do that, I have a set of code that's already been written, sort of like 11s. So what you're going to do is write methods that'll interface with code that already exists. And if you do it right, the whole system will work correctly, and it'll help you understand matrices. So to find that code, we are going to go look in the Neato textbook, and you should have downloaded a new one. And if we go to the section called AP, whatever I called it, AP projects, and we go inside there, you'll see that there's a new folder called 2D matrix. And if we go inside there, you'll see these are a set of labs just like you're very accustomed to. And we're going to go look in the 0th one, and inside there's your standard PowerPoint. And this was also a project that was developed by the AP, the people that make the test. And there's a PDF which can guide you through this. And so if you like to read and you want a little more in-depth coverage, check that out. Not required, but it's there. But what I want you to look at is there's a folder here called Picture Explorer, and this is like base code, if you will, for this this module. So I'm going to copy this folder, and I'm going to paste it onto my desktop. And this is what I'm going to use to hack away here to introduce my the first lesson. So inside here, there is a folder called source code, and we'll go in there and find source code. You're very accustomed to this. Here's a starter file. If I open that with Notepad++, you'll see that there's a PSVM, and yeah, So this is from a code perspective where we're starting. And there's a C and an R in this folder here so we can compile and run. There's a bunch of other files too, and we'll talk about those. And then also in this subfolder, there is another folder. Hold on. Where is, I'm going to go up a level. And there's another folder called doc and another one called images. And we will talk to you more about that one next. Okay, so we're gonna, you need to go find a JPEG, a picture of something. And I have one here. And, oh, I know, I was telling you I was cold. And so I always am wearing lots of clothes. And so that's where this picture came from. So there's a folder inside of the folder that we copied from the Neato textbook. There's one called source code, which has the source code. There's another one called images. And this is where you need to place pictures you want to play with. And so we're going to go inside images, and I'm going to drag my image into there and let it go. And as you can see, if you look around that folder, there's a lot of images there already. Some are provided, and others are there from other years when I've done this. But that needs to go into that folder. And I don't know what you're doing. Whoa, whoa, that's scary. And that's my image, which is frightening in itself. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my Notepad++, and this is what the client file looks like. And what I'm going to do is put the name of my file here. It's a JPEG, and I called it buffoon because I look like a buffoon. Okay, so this is a constructor. It takes in a string, which is the name of the picture you're going to look at. In that picture, that file needs to be in the folder images like we just did. And this is going to make the object pics, the name of the picture object pics. And then there's a method called explore. So I'm going to save this. And then I am going to find the folder which has the source code in it. There it is. And I'm going to compile this, whoops, and then I'm going to run this. And that's this right here. And there's the buffoon. That's really scary. Okay, so how does this work? Well, the thing that's really cool here, and we're going to use this, is you can click anywhere in this. Like, let's click right on the end of my nose. Boom. So the pixel now at that location, that's the color of the pixel. And it's located at row 315. And by the way, these are rows, like Y's, but I'm going to call them rows because that's how we talk in picture talk. And then the columns go this way. So this is column 234, row 315. And that's one pixel right there, and it's the color RGB. Those are the values at that location. So this is a really handy tool to investigate photographs. You can zoom in if you want, which is terribly frightening on my face. And we're going to use this, like I said, for a number of the different labs. And so remember this. So that's what your assignment is now, is to go get a JPEG, get a new Neato textbook, get a JPEG, get this practice code, get a copy of it, and put the JPEG in the right folder, and then play around with it and just appreciate how that's working. And then we'll go from there. So after doing a few of these vlogs, I've noticed that my favorite part is talking about things that people are doing nice for one another. And I was actually the recipient of the one I want to talk about today. I received an email from Lizzie, period 2 volleyball player Lizzie, and she was telling me how she enjoyed the episodes she'd seen so far from the blog, and that she had been discussing her classes with her mom, and it turns out her mom is a physical therapist. And the mom asked about, she mentioned the surgery, and it turns out her mom is a specialist in pelvic floor rehabilitation. And pelvic sounds like it's in the neighborhood of where I had my issues. And Lizzie included her email, and her mom said that she'd be really happy to help me out if she had any questions or to give me some exercises. So I took her up on it, and I sent her mom an email and described my situation at a high level, and asked if that's the kind of thing that she knew stuff about. And it turns out, yes, and that's what she specialized in. And things got even more interesting from there.
So last night, when I got out of the shower, I looked at my wife, and she didn't look very happy, and I thought maybe something was wrong with one of our kids, and she said, well, I got some bad news. And I said, what? And she said, well, I've got body ache, I'm tired, fatigued, and I have a low-grade fever. And I said, oh, So you can imagine what we were thinking. She went to bed, and I made a few phone calls finding out about how you could get tested and what the symptoms were, where we should worry, and so that was unsettling. We separated ourselves, and then they said to call your primary doctor in the morning. So I called my wife's doctor the next day and explained the situation, and I was very interested in finding out about getting tested, because I figured if she was tested and we understood better whether she had the thing or not, then that would help us navigate in our own house and how to deal with me, because I didn't want to get it. And I explained to both the doctor and the nurse the night before that I had just had surgery and I was afraid of getting sick, and the doctor didn't give a lot of clarity. They said we could go to urgent care and talk to them about getting tested, but it wasn't definitive. And so then I sent Lizzie's mom an email, and I was explaining my condition, and she was giving me exercises that could help me out. And I included in my describing my situation, oh, by the way, this is what's going on with my wife, any suggestions? And she came back with a definitive, don't let your wife leave your house, and you and your daughter should separate yourselves from her as best you can. So this was a very crisp set of marching orders given to us at a time where we weren't getting a clear message from our own doctors. And it was really, really helpful. So we did what she said, and we still are. So now I've moved into one part of our house, and my wife is away at the other end of our house, and my daughter brings my wife food, and so far her condition hasn't changed much, which we're thankful for, but we're playing it safe. And I am really grateful to Lizzie and to her mom for giving us a clear set of instructions in a time where things were very confusing to us. So thank you, Lizzie, and thank you, Mama Lizzie, for helping us out.